In this video, I will explain to you how to submit the packaging request form for Europractice MPW. So the first thing you need to do is find the link to this form that's included in the email with the DRC check results that's been sent to you by a tape-out engineer. So an example of such an email is shown here. Here you can see that in the attachment contains the DRC check results, and the link to the packaging request form is here. If you click on this link, it will take you to this form here. The first thing you need to do is upload a simplified layout view of your chip that only shows the bond pad. And such a view is included in the folder with the DRC check results that has been sent to you. So if you open this attachment here, you'll see that it contains several subfolders. And the subfolder that you need for the packaging request form is the one called PackMaker. If I open it, it contains a GDS file, and that's the file that needs to be uploaded. So if I go back to the form, you need to click on the Choose File button, then browse to this file and select it, and you will see that a simplified layout view of your chip will appear in the display window here. The next thing you need to do is choose the package type that you want from this drop-down list here. You can find more information on each of these packages on the Europractice website. I have it open here. If you click on Services Packaging and then on ASIC Packaging, you will find more information on how to submit a packaging request with package design rules, as well as a list of ceramic packages and a list of plastic packages. And for each of these packages, the unit price of the package is mentioned. And if you click on one of these, you will see a detailed diagram of that package. Okay, so back to the form. For this video, I will choose this package here. And you will see that a simplified layout view of that package will also appear in the preview window, along with the layout view of your chip. So it's important to note that all these layouts are to scale, so it gives you an idea of the size of your chip with respect to the size of the package you have chosen. So by default, your package will be placed the center of the package cavity, but you also have the possibility to offset that position from that center point if you want to by playing around with the arrows here that set the value of offset X and offset Y. So you can shift the chip to the right or to the left. You can make it go up, and you can also make it go down. And you can also modify the angle that your chip makes with respect to the package you have chosen. So for this video, I will keep the angle at 0 and the offset values to 0 so as to have the chip centered with respect to the package cavity. So once you have chosen your package and decided on the position of your chip with respect to that package, you need to connect your chip to the package. And to do so, you need to click on this pen icon here. Then you have to left click on the package pin and left click again on the chip pad that needs to be connected to that pin. You can zoom in and zoom out by using the scroll wheel on your mouse. So again, left click on the package pin, left click again on the chip pad, and that establishes the connection. If you make a wrong connection and you want to delete it, you need to click on the delete icon here, then just click on the connection you want to delete, and it will just remove that connection. If you want to connect a chip pad to the package cavity, you can do so by clicking on the ground symbol here. Then you need to left click on the pad that you want to connect to the cavity, and then left click again anywhere in the package cavity, and that will establish the connection to the package cavity, which will then be connected to ground. And you need to do that for every chip pad that you have here. So if you do so, you'll probably end up with something that looks a bit like this. So before carrying on, I'd like to briefly explain to you what each of these icons here do. So most of them are self-explanatory. So this one is used to zoom in on part of the preview, this one to zoom out. This one will fit the layout views of the package and pin to this preview window. The arrows will shift the preview window to the left, to the right, up or down, and you can always fit the view back to the preview by clicking on this icon here. This one here is to establish a connection between a package pin and a chip pad. This one is to connect a chip pad to the package cavity, and this one here is to delete a wrong connection. There are also a few keyboard shortcuts. So if you press down the Alt key on your keyboard, then left click inside this preview window and move your mouse, the window will move in the same direction as your mouse. You can also use the keyboard arrows to move your chip up, down, left, or right. And as previously mentioned, you can also use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in and to zoom out on your design. So of course, it's best to select the offset values to determine the position of your chip inside the package cavity. It's best to do that before drawing any of the connections. But if nevertheless you do decide to do it afterwards, you will notice that when you modify the value of the offset here, the connections that you have drawn will be automatically adapted, so you don't have to draw everything again. The maximum wire length parameter is automatically calculated based on what you have drawn in the preview here, and you'll see that this value gets adapted if I increase the offset value, for example. These other values here are automatically loaded when you upload the simplified layout view of the bond pads of your chip. So these values will have been inserted by the tape-out engineer who handled your tape-out. So in principle, they should be correct. But if you have any doubts regarding one of these values, then of course you should contact the tape-out team for more information. Here you need to enter your email address. This parameter here has also been inserted by a tape-out engineer, same as for the MPW number and the die label. For the package quantity, you can choose how many dies from the same tray you would like to package using the wire bonding diagram displayed in this preview here. So there is a minimum order of 10 pieces, but you are free to order more. You can order more if you want to, but please keep in mind that some dies need to be used by the packaging house as setup dies. So for example, if you order 100 dies, then you shouldn't ask for all those 100 dies to be packaged, because you need some of those dies will need to be used for setup purposes. For the lid type, you have a choice between the 4 options shown here. For the die attach method, there are essentially 2 choices, conductive epoxy or non-conductive epoxy. I'll briefly explain the difference now. So when non-conductive epoxy is used, the chip substrate and the package cavity are physically connected, but they're not electrically connected. Whereas when conductive epoxy is used, the chip substrate and package cavity are both physically and electrically connected. So for most applications, conductive epoxy is fine, and it's the most commonly used choice. But if your application is sensitive to substrate noise, especially at high frequencies, then non-conductive epoxy might be an interesting solution as well, because it enables any noise generated inside the package cavity not to spread to the chip substrate. But so unless your chip is targeted to one of those specific applications, conductive epoxy will be fine. So back to the form. You also need to specify whether cup pads are used in your design. So cup stands for circuit under pad, and basically a cup pad makes use only of the 2 uppermost metal layers that are available, whereas a non-cup pad makes use of all metal layers. So if in your design you use pads that only use the top 2 uppermost metal layers, then you have to select yes, and otherwise, if your pads use all metal layers, then you should select no. Polyamide on chip. This question has already been asked to you at the time of tape out in the design delivery form, and you need to make sure you provide the same answer here as the one you provided before. So basically, polyamide is an additional protective layer that can be added on top of the passivation layer to ensure additional protection. But so the key thing is here is to be consistent with the previous answer that you gave. So if you ordered polyamide at the time of tape out, you should select yes, and otherwise you should select no. That's it. Here you have the possibility to add any additional information you may want to add or further comments. Of course, if you have any questions, you should ask the tape out team. And if not, you can click on the submit button and your packaging request will be automatically sent to the tape out team and to the packaging team. Thank you for listening.